Hey, what's going on, everyone? Today I'm working on a 2006 Buick Lucerne with a 3.8 liter V6, and today I'm going to be replacing the water pump along with the timing chain cover gasket. I'll show you real quick here. You can see that orange there, that's coolant leaking, and can't tell yet if it's from the water pump or the timing chain cover gasket, but I'm going to go ahead and replace both just in case. So let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is block the rear wheel because I'm going to jack up the front end. And then you can take your jack and just go right underneath the frame here. Then you can take your jack stand, and you got a little spot right here for your jack stand. And go ahead and lower it. Alright, so now at the front of the car, I'm going to remove this plastic shield to see if this car has a petcock drain on the radiator or not. If not, I'll have to remove the lower radiator hose to drain the coolant. But you just go around. Looks like you got little clips here. This one's been kind of rigged up. As you can see, there's some metal wire kind of holding these on, and then these little sheet metal screws. But you also got a couple bolts over here. So just go along and take out all the bolts you need to remove this plastic cover. Alright, so finally got this plastic shield off. Hopefully yours will be a lot easier than this one. Like I said, this one was just rigged with metal wire holding it on. Also just these sheet metal screws that were screwed into here. And then just those bolts were so rusted that they just, like these end ones here, just snapped when I tried taking them off. So, alright, so what I'm going to do next is start removing some of the stuff up top, because this particular vehicle does not have a radiator drain petcock, so I'm going to try to remove some of this stuff up here to give me easier access down to the lower radiator hose, so we can pull that to drain the cooling system. Alright, I'm going to move this top cover over the engine, and I believe you just actually leave that, just unscrew this, pull out, and that should just right out of here. And then go ahead and replace this so you get nothing in your engine oil. And next I'm going to remove our ignition coils. You got two bolts here, one right here and then just down below there, and those are going to be 15 millimeters. And then just see if you can kind of just tip this up out of the way for now. Give you a little more room up here. So next I'm going to take off this torque mount, this whole bracket here. That'll give us a little more room in here. And this nut back here is going to be an 18 millimeter. So go ahead and undo that one. And then we should be able to leave this one in, and we'll just remove this whole bracket here from the motor. And you're gonna have two 15 millimeters. You got this one down here. These bolts here are from this. I just screwed them in to make sure I don't lose them. And then your other 15 millimeters going to be underneath here, back in there. I'll show you guys. So it looks like this whole stud's coming out on this one. And as you can see, it has like a little ground wire right there behind it as well. So let me pull this off, and then just make sure you get that ground wire back on when we go to put this back on. Alright, so it looks like there's one more nut and stud there, right above that one that I just took off. So we'll have to take that one off as well. Alright, I'm just going to pull off this stud and then the one up here, just to make it easier. And like I said, that way I don't have to remove this whole thing. I can just lift it straight out of the engine bay here. And in order to get these studs out, it's going to be an E8 Torx on that. Just put that on there and remove that. And that's what that looks like. Go ahead and do the one up under here. Okay, and with that out, we should just be able to lift up on this and then pull this whole thing out. Just be careful of your wiring harness here. And that just pulls off like that. Alright, so I was just going to show you guys real quick on that torque mount. So the bottom one had the nut, which is welded on there, which pulls the whole stud out. So that'll be your bottom one. And then these other two are the E8 studs, which will go in there and here. Next, we can go ahead and remove the serpentine belt. And you may just want to take a picture before you take it off, or do a little drawing on it, because this particular car does not have a little diagram under the hood here showing how the belt is routed. And then just take a 15mm breaker bar or socket wrench, put it on there, then pull up towards you, and then you go ahead and just slip it off the alternator here, and then let go of the tension. And then go ahead and pull that off of here. And I'll leave it down there for right now. Next, I'm going to remove the water pump pulley, and you can just grab an 8mm, the socket wrench, and just get on one of these, and then just kind of holding it. They're not on there too tight. Just loosen all those. And you should just be able to pull that off, just like that. Next, we can begin removing the alternator. Just lift this rubber boot up over this. And then you got a 10mm right here. Go ahead and undo that. Pull that off, get that out of the way. Then you can undo this clip here just by pushing that in and pulling out. Tuck that out of the way. Then you undo this top nut, which is going to be a 15mm. Then you got another 15mm here. Okay, then back up top, we got this bracket here we need to take off. So you got a little 10mm here. And then you can lift this bracket off. And I'll just put that back in so I don't lose it. And then below that bracket was another 15mm right here on top. And then it looks like we got one more 15mm nut right on top here. And it looks like this one just comes out with the whole stud as well. Just like that. And then we can pull our alternator off. Alright, so before I move forward anymore, I'm going to go ahead and pull this radiator hose off of the water pump housing here. And make sure you got a drip pan underneath there to catch all the coolant that's going to come out of here. And let that drain into your pan there. And then I'm just going to take a rag, shove a rag in this hose here. And then just kind of tuck that up out of the way here, so nothing falls down into that. Alright, so what we're going to do next is get this power steering pulley and the whole pump out of the way. And I think there's two. You can see a bolt back here. What we're going to have to do is go through the pulley to loosen that. And then same with the bottom, we're going to have to rotate this pulley. And there's a bolt down at the bottom as well. So go ahead and loosen those. Those are going to be 13mm. Try and pull those out so you don't lose them. If you can, grab a magnet. That's what that looks like. Try to get your bottom one, same thing. It's kind of tricky getting that bolt out of there without losing it. Okay, and then you should be able to just get this kind of out of the way here. Kind of like that. Let's grab this bolt real quick. So yeah, just kind of get that out of the way just like that for now. Now let's go ahead and start removing the water pump bolts. And these top ones are going to be 10mm. Then you got one underneath the bottom here. Then you take your 13mm, and you got one here, here, and then these two as well. Remove them. Okay, and it looks like these all four of these are the same size. And you can see it flowing, so make sure you got your drip pan underneath there. Alright, so with that kind of done draining, let's see if we can get this water pump off. May have to use a pry bar. See if we can pry this off of here. Just like that. Pull out your old water pump here. Next, I'm going to remove these two heater hoses here. Next, I'm going to see if I can remove this whole piece here. I think it disconnects from the water pump housing. I'm not exactly sure, but let's give it a try. So it looks like you got 15mm bolt here, and then another one down there. And then on this back side, if I can get in there or not, you got another one right there. So let's go ahead and loosen those and see if we can pull this out of here. So yeah, it looks like all three of these are the same as well. And let's see. Alright, so it looks like you got a little coolant type elbow there going into the block, and same with down here. You can see it right there. So I think what we're gonna have to do is pry that way with it without trying to snap those, because I think they're just held in by an O-ring. So I'm just gonna try and pry a little bit, kind of right here on this elbow. See if we can pull that out. And come down here to this one as well. Let's see if I can just pull on it now. Yeah. So maybe just grab both elbows and try pulling. There we go. So yeah, just like that. And as you can see, it's just held in there by that O-ring and this one as well. Okay, now we can go ahead and remove our passenger front wheel. It's going to be a 19mm. Okay, and then we need to remove this inner fender well here so we can get access to the crankshaft there. And you got a bunch of these little clips along here, all the way at the top there. It comes around and comes to a 7mm bolt there. So we need to take all those off. And on these, all you do is just stick a screwdriver in, try and pop that little round part out first. And then you take that and just, may have to pull out a little more. And it just pops out like that. And then I didn't see this back one back here, guys, but you had another one back in here. Alright, so next we need to take this crankshaft pulley off, or your harmonic balancer
And this is going to be a 24 millimeter. I'm going to try just using my impact, and hopefully that will be enough power to spin that bolt out of there. So let's give that a shot and see. That's what that looks like. So it looks like that worked. I did spray some PB Blaster though before I started, and you can see me going, trying to undo it, and then I would try and tighten it a little bit, back it off a little bit, tighten it again, and then finally it just vibrated loose there. Alright, so with the crankshaft bolt out, we now need to remove the harmonic balancer crankshaft pulley here. And I'm going to try I got an old harmonic balancer / steering wheel puller that I'm going to try, and hopefully that'll work. If not, I'm going to probably have to go to the parts store and rent one. But I'll give this one a shot first. And let's see what we got. And so what you want to do is just grab the bolts in here. You're going to need 3 of them, and see which one will fit. And then you can see you got 3 holes there. So just see which one's going to fit first. And that one's not working. And I think these are bigger. So let's see if that'll work. No, that won't even fit through there. So let me try these skinny ones here. And you got to feel around for a hole maybe. So it looks like that one, yep. So it looks like these are going to work. And I'll tighten them. They're kind of long, but we'll give it a shot and see if it works here. Alright, so once you find the bolts that work, you're going to go ahead and take your removal tool and gonna grab your bolts, and I'm gonna double up on the washers, and then you can take this and then go ahead and stick this through here and try to get that started. Grab your other bolts and washers. Like I said, hopefully this will work, because these are really long bolts. But they're the only ones that fit here. And then you go ahead and tighten those. That should be good. Then you grab this. Go ahead and start tightening that. And this should pull up on this. And then it should come out. Alright, so just kind of like that. Let's see if we can get this out of here now. And that's how that pulls off of there. so now let's go ahead and start unplugging a couple things here. Go ahead and unplug this. Same with this one up here. Now I believe we should be able to remove this plastic piece here. Yeah, that just kind of pulled off like that. Then up top here, you got this little wiring harness here, and try and undo that from this plastic piece, just like that. And then let's see if we can get the rest of this off of here without breaking it. There we go. Alright, so next I'm going to plug this sensor here right by the power steering. See if I can get that off. Just like that. Next, grab your 13mm and we'll undo this one here. Same with the one above it. And then you should be able to just remove this. Next, I'm going to undo these two 13mm. So next, it looks like you're gonna have 3 bolts going up into that housing, possibly 4, but I'm gonna try these 3 first because it looks like those 3 go into it. And yeah, let me try that. Undo those, and looks like these are gonna be 3/8. So yeah, I'm gonna wait on that one because I don't think I need to pull that one out. Alright, so it looks like we may have just 2 more bolts, and then hopefully we can pull this out of here. I'll just show you. Looks like we got one right here, and then another one right there. So go ahead and pull those, and those are going to be 13mm. Alright, so I think I got all the bolts out, hopefully. Now I'm going to try and just start prying on this, and hopefully it breaks loose. go on each side a little bit here. Alright, so with that pretty much pried off, you go ahead and try removing this now. Watch your power steering pump here. Kind of get that out of the way. And see if we can just pull this off and lift up out of here maybe. Just like that. And bring it up here and watch your oil filter down there. And that just lifts off like that. Alright, so taking a closer look, I'll show you. You can see right in here, this is where it was leaking coolant from. And then of course it was running down along there. So we'll go ahead and get a new gasket. I'm going to scrape all this off and put the new gasket on. And then just looking at the cover here, you can see right there too. That's right in there. That's where it was leaking, so that gasket wasn't doing much there. So I'll go ahead and get this cleaned up as well, and then same with the engine block there, and come back. All right, so taking a look at our new gaskets. This is Felpro 46077. Of course, here's your new timing chain cover gasket, and this one's actually made of metal as opposed to the one that I just took off, which was paper. Also includes this one here, which I'm not going to use. This one goes to the oil filter housing right in here, which I'm not going to break apart those full bolts to take it because it's not leaking, so I don't think there's any need to replace it. And then of course your water pump gasket, which is also metal, which is kind of nice. And then it also comes with a new crankshaft seal, which is going to go right in here. So I figure it's not leaking, but I figure I might as well just replace it while I'm in here. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Alright, so I'm just going to take a seal puller and see if we can get it out that way. Just like that. Alright, so with that out, go ahead and grab your new seal. Make sure it's nice and clean. We'll go ahead and get that centered and install that. Just like that. Alright, so they also give you this little O-ring that's included in the kit as well. And I'm not exactly sure where it goes, but I'm going to see if maybe this sensor here has an O-ring on it. And if it does, we'll replace it. And looks like... yeah, it looks like that's going to be the O-ring there. So let me grab a pick and I'll just replace that as well. Just take a pick and try to get underneath it. Peel that off. Just throw our new one on there. Just like that. And then we'll clean this off and we'll stick that back in. And then tighten that up, and that's going to be a 3/8 on that. Alright, so I got this all cleaned up. I just used a Scotch-Brite pad and some brake cleaner. Clean the gasket mating surface all up. And same with down here. Looks like they had some RTV silicone on that. So we're probably going to have to put some on when we put this back on as well. So this should be ready to go. And then taking a look under the hood here. Same thing, I got this all cleaned up. Again, down there is where we're going to put the silicone. We're going to be using a metal gasket. That's what came with it. So we shouldn't have to use any gasket maker on that. Alright, so go ahead and grab your new gasket. And this should only go on one way. And you got this little dowel here to hold it on. It should go on like this. Yeah. So that'll sit there like that. Just make sure that's all even and not kinked anywhere. Alright, I'm just going to rub a little high temp gasket maker down on the bottom there. Don't need too much. Okay, just kind of like that. Go grab our timing cover. Okay, we'll go ahead and put this on. And make sure you get your gasket lined right. Slide that on. I think we're on there. Grab your 13mm bolts. Stick those in really quick. We'll just get those somewhat tight. We'll go down below and do the bottom next real quick. That one doesn't seem to be going in. Maybe I was in the wrong hole there. Okay, then we'll put our 3 in, and it looked like these old bolts had some blue thread locker on them, so I'm going to put some thread locker on them real quick. And go ahead and put those in. Alright, now we go ahead and start putting these 4 bolts in. The stud one, like this, goes on the top, remember, and this had some red Loctite on it, but I'm just going to put some blue on it real quick. And then the bolt one's going to go on the bottom here. And then grab your sensor and your other one, bolts there. Okay, and then you go ahead and grab your plastic cover. We'll put this back over that. Just like that. Then you grab your wiring harness and stick this back down into that plastic thing there. And plug in this sensor. Alright, now I went ahead and just put on some of this protective plastic stuff over these wires since it was all brittle and falling apart. So then we go ahead and plug this sensor back in down here. Maybe. And then this tucks behind the water pump housing here. Alright, so now we can go ahead and put our harmonic balancer and pulley back on. And this can only go on one way because, as you can see on here, there's a little notch here. So you're going to have to line that up. And you can see on the front side, it's that hole there, or this spot there. So you just need to look for it, and I can see it's right about there. So we can go ahead and stick that on. And you may have to play with it a little bit. Oh, there it goes, right, just like that. So you can feel it kind of slip on there. And then we'll take our bolt. Get it nice and tight, and I'll grab my impact. Alright, so you can grab your 24mm impact socket and your impact. And we'll go ahead and tighten this. Okay, so with that tight down there, let's go ahead and get our water pump on now. Take your new gasket. Again, this one's a metal one, so we don't need any sealer on it. And you got the little dowels there, you can press it on. And again, just make sure that matting surface is clean as well. It's your new pump. Okay, and we'll tighten all those. Alright, so let's put our tensioner bracket back on. Remember these little O-ring fittings? I put just a little oil on them just to help them slide in there a little better so they're not so dry. Let's go ahead and slide that in. Same with the one down below here. We'll push in on those. Okay, once you get that seated, grab your 15mm bolts. Let's go ahead and throw those in. And I'll get those tightened. Alright, so now we can move on to our power steering. And forget to plug in this little sensor down here. It goes to the oil filter housing. It's the one with the green connector on it. Connect that before you put this on. Grab your 2 bolts. And then remember, these gotta go through the pulley to get these on. These were 13mm. Now let's go ahead and put our heater hoses back on here. And then with these clips, try to get them lined up just how they were before so they don't leak on you. Then you grab your alternator, put that back on. This longer one with the stud goes here. And then the shorter one goes on the back, on this back side here. And this one right here. Go ahead and tighten those. Take your electrical connector there, plug that back in. And take your nut off. Put that back on. Then take your bracket here, we'll put that back on. Now let's put our water pump pulley back on. Alright, so let's try and connect our little radiator hose here to the water pump housing. Next you can grab your belt, put that on, and remember how that was kind of routed. Pretty sure it was like that. Make sure you're in your grooves here on your pulleys. And then grab your 15 millimeter. And slip that up around the alternator there. Just like that. Alright, so go ahead and grab your torque mount. And then don't forget this this one goes through here, and this goes behind that. So go underneath that wiring harness, and then on the back over here, go ahead and push that down first onto that stud. And try and get this through here. Then you grab your two studs here. Those went right here. Same with the other one's going to go on the upper one here. Then grab your 18 millimeter nut, put that back on your torque mount here. Tighten that up. And then don't forget these two nuts, 15 millimeter nuts that go on these studs here. Alright, so now let's go ahead and put our ignition coil back on here. Got your two bolts. And then just watch your wiring harness here. Alright, since I already got the cooling system drained, I'm just going to go ahead and replace the thermostat as well. You don't have to do this for this job, but I'm just going to do it while it's already drained. So you got two 10 millimeter bolts here. And then you should just be able to pull on this. Might be a little stuck. Just grab a pair of pliers and pull that out just like that. And this is probably the original one, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but it's 195 degrees Fahrenheit. So I just picked up the thermostat at O'Reilly's, along with a new gasket. Then just take your new thermostat with your gasket, and there's a little lip inside here, inside the gasket, that goes on this part of the thermostat here. So just slip that on. Just like that. Just stick your new thermostat in there. Just like that. Just clean this off a little bit. And then you can stick that back on and put your nuts back, or your bolts back in there. Alright, and so before I go ahead and start filling the radiator, I'm going to go ahead and change the engine oil just to be safe as well, because when I pulled that timing cover off, there was quite a bit of coolant and then just gasket material that kind of fell down and could have ended up in the oil pan. So I'm just going to do a quick oil change on it real quick. I'm not going to videotape that since that's pretty simple, and then I'll come back. Alright, so I just got the oil change all done. So now I'm going to go ahead and start filling the coolant. Before I do that, I'm going to take my 10mm though, go on top of the thermostat housing, and just crack this bleeder screw open here. Alright, so let's start filling. Pull your radiator cap. And I already filled the overflow reservoir. And what I'm using is just some orange Dex Cool. Get you a funnel, and then you can start filling up the radiator here. And you can squeeze on the upper radiator hose, try to help get some of the air bubbles out. But that's what that bleeder valve should do as well. Alright, so with that full, let's go ahead and start it. And then just crank your heat up. And we'll let it idle here, and we'll try to get it up to temperature and open that thermostat. Alright, so as that's warming up, there'll be coolant coming out of here. So once that coolant starts coming out, go ahead and tighten that air valve back up. And then we'll go ahead and replace our radiator cap as well. Alright, so back in the car, you can see we're at normal operating temperature. So the thermostat went ahead and opened up. We'll shut it off and let it cool, and we'll check the coolant again. And we'll also check for some leaks. And then with that off, just go ahead and double check for leaks around your thermostat housing there. And then also your heater line, heater core hoses there. And then just all along your gasket and everything we replaced. And everything looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and get this inner fender well back on. I also want to show you guys, while you have it off, you might as well clean this little area out. It tends to trap dust and dirt and leaves. You can see all that crap on the ground, and that just creates rust there. So it's a good thing to clean that out while you have that off. So then you can go ahead and put your engine cover back on. Pull your oil fill here. And then get this back on. And you can see this little rubber grommet there. That goes back inside that little metal piece there. So go ahead and set this on. Just like that. Alright, so I just went ahead and put it on the front tire and jacked it up and lowered it. And then you can see my inner fender wells back on. And then I had to rig up the skid plate as well to get that back on. So I'm going to go ahead and clean up my garage floor now. And that's going to be it for the video. Again, 2006 Buick Lucerne with a 3.8 liter. And went ahead and replaced the water pump, timing chain cover, crankshaft seal, and also the thermostat. So hopefully this video helps you out, guys. Like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.